You hear that?
Yep, I did. I pressed got it to make sure it was recording.
We are live. Everybody out there, this is Brandon White from Mile High Scale Modeler channel on YouTube.
Yep.
And we've been talking over the internet for a while, and this is really the first time we've really talked in person.
It is.
So you were just on Luca C's channel a little while ago, and you guys talked about a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't want to cross over into what you guys already talked about.
Of course.
But, we were talking just the other day about the video that you just put up, the review of the Amg Gt3 kit.
Yep.
And I was complimenting you on the lighting, the pace. If you guys haven't watched the video, you really need to check it out. Brandon's got it going on with his videos, and I'm talking way too much. You talk for a while, Brandon.
So I look at a lot of people that are YouTube content creators and how they do their kit reviews and how they do their videos, and I try to take from what positive thing that they do and then make it into a little spin of my own. So actually, you can watch my older videos of how I did the kit reviews, where I just started showing the actual items individually and then putting them all back in the box at the end. This new one with AMG, I actually took everything out of the box so everyone could see what was in the box and how it was laid out in the box, which is kind of nice. It's always fun to see how to me it makes everything fit in the box when you think it won't fit in the box, because you take it out and you put it back in and you're like, how did this go back in? Because it won't fit. So it's always nice to record it now so I can put it back the correct way. And then from that point, I like to show everything in the wrapper to show what it looks like coming out of the box as you would expect, and then open it and go through it all. A lot of my older videos were pretty quick and going through, or a little bit too long in the tooth for some parts of it. Like, going over chassis for 2 minutes, I think is just way too much time now. So I will time myself as I actually do the video. I give myself 15 minutes to do the video, knowing that about 4 or 5 minutes of the actual video itself is going to be just nothing happening while I'm switching out the different sprues in my hand and putting them in the picture, or juggling stuff around and moving the view if I need to.
Right.
But that's what I kind of started seeing a lot of people do is in the kit reviews, is how nice and clean the motion is of opening the kit, showing the product, especially the instruction manual. Because for me, the biggest thing is a lot of guys I see on Facebook groups, they have a kit with no instruction manual. And if my kit reviews can go in depth in the instruction manual and show it very slowly, they can just take screenshots of their iPhone and have the manual there for them. Not to find
right. And some guys flip through it so fast you really can't see it.
Or it's so far away and you can't see what number that you were missing. Like, oh, that's right there, but what number is it? You can't see. So for me, having it slow and showing each step, I'll go through the step to give commentary instead of just having audio through the entire way. But just having it to where people can see it, because for me, and there's a lot of old kits that I have that probably people are looking for the MPC instructions, you can't find them on eBay. I've checked, or on Amazon or wherever, on Facebook groups. And so for me, actually, I'm going to start doing a lot of those older ones that are hard to find and show everything that comes in the box. So people know when they're buying something, this is what should come in the box. If they're missing something, they know. Right. Or if they don't have instructions, here's the instructions, take screenshots, all that good stuff. I'm actually even thinking about while my instructions is flowing through the video, actually taking with my phone, taking pictures of it as well and showing at the end or something like that. That might be easier. So, but I still want the videos to be too long in the tooth as well. So I got to kind of shorten it to where they're, 7 to 12 minutes, I think is the nice spot for someone to watch and not get too bored.
Right. Yeah, we can talk about like strategy if you like. So when you're making your kit review and you're laying out and you're looking at the parts, are you thinking in your head of what you're going to say, because you do voiceover, right?
No. Yeah. So all mine's voiceover. The biggest thing is for me is when I talk, I will stutter sometimes, or I always have a lot of, unfortunately, since having COVID, I have a lot of times where I will think of something and forget it really quick. And it's a simple word and I can't remember it, or it's a nice word. Like I think about it and I forget it and I can't say it. So voiceover allows me to, a lot of people like you and other people, you can just go off of a word right there, and it's super easy sometimes. At least your videos show it. least your video shows it sometimes.
When
Or especially like
when I
Luca.
do
Luca can do that,
voiceovers,
you know?
man, when I do the voiceovers, it takes me 20 times to get the right sentence out. I should write a script. Do you write a script?
Yes, I do. There's a lot of people on YouTube. There's a subscriber I follow, which is like a company now. They're like 100 million. They have a million. Sorry, not 100 million. 1 million subscribers, and they just go through how to do B-roll, how to do scripts, how to do bullet points for scripts, or writing it out. I write it out entirely because I want to come across the way I want it to. Doing bullet points definitely gives me a lot more screw ups. If I just have it written out, I can just follow that and be good. But yeah, the script is what I do. So for me, that's why I time myself. I give each sprue, a certain amount of time. I'll go through, flip it. If you'll watch my videos, there's sometimes where I'll just have it. I'll show it, and then it goes away. The next one comes in, which is a perfect kind of transition. But then sometimes you can see where I took too long. You'll see I'll still be holding it, and all of a sudden it'll just fade to the next one coming in because that clip was too long. I didn't have it go in and out as quickly as I needed it to, based on how much commentary I was going to give. So
that's a lot of editing work.
Yes,
that is a lot of editing work.
I mean, it takes me about 10 minutes to just straight record a kit review, and it takes me, I don't know, at least an hour to do the script based on what I want to say, and then edit probably another 2-3 hours. So I'm about 5 hours into a video.
That's what I try
just for
and tell
15
people.
minutes.
That's what I try and tell people when they say, I want to do a YouTube channel. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You have no idea.
It's definitely hard. And for me, like, I don't know about you, James, but for me, I have other models I build that I don't put on the channel to keep me wanting to enjoy the hobby. Having a camera in front of me, right in front of my chest, looking down, I have to go over it in order to actually do something like glue and stuff. As people will see in this upcoming video I have of building a distributed kit from ProTech, which I'll have coming up this week. A lot of times I just cut out and say, I'll do the rest and I'll come back when I'm done with it, because it's just hard to do things with a camera right at your chest or in your way, and it makes it not enjoyable to some extent. So for me, having a different kit I can just do and not have to record it at all, and then I'll probably just do those reviews that some people do where they do a build and they don't show you building it. They just come in and do this is the update I've done, and this is the next update I've done, where it's already been kind of done.
Right.
I think I might do it with those ones where it's still recorded, but it's more enjoyable. I can build and not have to worry about having a camera in front of me at all times and making sure I do it correctly and not have screw ups, because you glue it once, that's it. Hopefully that was the good. Hopefully your camera recorded it and you got it good.
When I first started my channel, I did build videos, and I would have the camera, like right in front of me, and I was working around it, to do all this stuff, and I edited it, each little part, and cut, paste, and there was no personality to it. How could you distinguish my video from anybody else's video other than the flavor of it? So that's when I just last year, I decided to just scrap that whole idea. And now I'm in front of the camera almost every episode now. And so, people either like me or they don't like me.
Yeah, it's that hard in between. Do you do talking head or you not do the talking head? Because as you'll see, Luca, yourself, a lot of the guys in our niche community that, that seem like we're all in the same little group following.
Yes.
A lot of people do talking heads. Then there's a lot of people like even myself, where my videos, I don't show myself at all.
Right.
And then you look at some of the guys that have, 100,000, 200,000 subscribers, like the Scale Modeling channel, and his voice is mundane. It's voice overed, and he never shows his face ever, but he has that high subscriber counts, and the watch views go along with it. So it's like, there's no real win strategy, I would say, in YouTube. It seems just to what viewers come to you, and if they subscribe in the end and get the views.
I think my number one thing that I advise people when they do the YouTube is to entertain. Don't try and teach anything. There's some that are out there that are trying to teach, and they don't do so well. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That they try and teach, and it's not for teaching, it's for entertainment. It's like watching a sitcom or something on TV. That's what they want is they want to log on, watch something, be entertained for 15 minutes, and then move on to the next one. So
Yeah,
that's my point of trot there.
and that's for me is a lot of my videos. Like, I obviously kit review is a kit review. You can't really entertain. It's just being informational there, because that video is going to sit there and only get maybe 10, 15 views a month. But then when that kit is 30 years old and people are looking for it and what came in the kit, that's where you kind of start to get those views coming up. I see.
That is evergreen content.
Yeah.
It really is.
Just let it sit there and let it just grow. Yeah.
It'll be there forever.
But like my rebuilding a rebuilder, just a little mini channel show or whatnot on my channel. When I'm doing the 41 Plymouth, I build, but also do show tips and tricks in the middle. So it's not just learning. It's also, you get to still see a build, but also get to show things. I know you do the same thing as well, which is awesome. Especially like your paint videos back in the day, or the, which one was it? The 1/12 scale, was it a Porsche? The one with the right and the white with the red stripe? Because you showed us how, which I didn't think of doing, was a surface primer and how it could cover over the pinholes. For me, I use white putty, or I'll use, if the pinholes are actually, was it not concave, but the opposite way?
Convex.
Convex. I'll use Tamiya extra thin, and it gets it super soft. And I'll just use a chisel and chisel it right off, and there we go. And I'll be showing that in the upcoming video too of how I do that. But it's nice for me. Like at night, I'll just sit in bed and watch a few videos, and I'll watch a 30-minute video from Luca or from Dr. Cranky or whoever, just because it's informational, but for me, it puts me to sleep too sometimes.
Sorry, Luca.
No, it's just nice because it's nice to watch something and you fall asleep to it. It's something you enjoy. So it's nothing bad. It's just a calm thing to watch sometimes. Or like I'll continually watch his, was it a 2 or 3 hour video or a few segments of his Tamiya GT that Luca built.
Right.
I'll watch that because it's just nice to watch someone build, especially older content too.
I like listening to his own podcasts while I work.
Yep.
I don't necessarily need to see them, watch them, but I can, just sort of listen while I work.
Yeah, those are always fun, because those on podcasts, I mean, I never knew of I can't remember his first name, but Lasky.
Art Lasky.
Art Lasky, yeah, never heard of him. And now I have another person I can go and buy, I can buy stuff from. That's a vendor that I would never have known. He's actually on this side of the coast where I'm at in Colorado, and you guys are in Arizona. He's in California, so it'd be a lot cheaper than buying something from over in Massachusetts or Virginia for shipping or whatnot. So,
but yeah, you had one of those little rotary polishing tools, and
yes,
where'd you get that? He goes, Art Lasky sells it. So I friended him on Facebook and said, Art, I want one of these, and so he sent me a link to the store, and I bought one. I love it.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I've seen BG have it, you have it, and there's another modeler on YouTube, NYS modeler, I believe.
Okay,
he's in New York, but
yeah, starts with a D.
Yes, I know why I'm always forgetting it now.
Yeah,
but it's there. But yes, I saw it like last year, and then I saw Art had it because you showed it, and I'm like, oh, it seems like everyone's getting it now because it's a lot cheaper than getting a Dremel or a Dremel brand rotary tool. Yeah. Those Proxon ones are getting expensive too now. Everyone's using Proxon. So
I think Chuck over at Chuck's Hobby Spot has 2 of them because he spends so much time polishing that he keeps one on charge all the time.
Well, he's got a new one, I think, too, that he got from Home Depot or something. That looks pretty cool.
Right.
So I'm excited to see how his finishes come out with that new tool that he has. It's always cool to see what guys are buying and what they're using and trying out. And I mean, obviously, if it's $100 and it's crap, you're going to say it's crap. Don't buy it, which is nice.
Yeah, I need to get over to Chucky's house for a lesson on polishing. He's got that down pat, and I'm jealous.
Yeah. And he uses 2K, so obviously, it seems like with 2K, half the job is done right there. It gives a nice clean finish, no orange peel if you do it right and get it wet, last coat.
Right.
Then it's just polishing and sanding, Oh man. But
we make it look easy. It looks good on film, and it looks good in pictures, but if you really get up on close to it, not his stuff, but just a regular 2K right out of the gun, it's not that good. You really do have to polish it.
That's good to know, because I haven't done 2K yet. I've been sticking with the lacquer base and Enamels so far. 2K is something I want to get into, but I see everyone that does it, they have to be in the garage, well ventilated. And I do have a Artograph 1530, dual fan booth, but even with the lacquers and enamels, it still fogs up the room, and I need to get a second vent just to have an extractor kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the basement. So for me, like wherever we move to next, or if the garage I get built in the third car will actually turn into an actual hobby room like I want to,
Right.
then I'll probably do it then. But for right now, 2K is just not something in the bag for me, based upon where I work in the basement, where the steams could go up through the vents into the house, and that wouldn't be good for everyone. So,
and another thing, I moved here to Arizona 4 years ago from Ohio, and I literally had to learn how to paint again because of the humidity difference. It's very humid in Ohio, and so learning how to paint all over again. I use a lot less paint here because it dries so fast.
That's nice.
My buddies in Ohio would always kid me about, you can get 6 cars out of a bottle of paint, but now it's, like I said, I just had to learn how to do it all over again. And you will too, because the humidity difference and altitude, I'm sure.
It's definitely the altitude. We have to have a higher pressure up here. So something that's normally, 12, 13, 15 PSI for the Tamiya acrylics in the small bottles, actually at 20, 25, typically, to give a good flow, or else it dries too quickly and it really atomizes and it just turns into like that sand look on the body. Yeah. So you have to have a higher pressure to get it, I guess, quicker to the actual body while it's still wet.
Okay.
But for enamels, for me, which I typically use, I'm actually about the same where someone in sea level would be doing, like you guys. But also, we're a very dry climate up here, so there's no humidity. Like right now,
I didn't know that.
I'm looking at right now. I mean, I'm looking at 24% right now as far as the dry, which is super dry out here. So yeah, we're considered a desert. We just get snow.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was humid. Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's nice and green and wet and stuff. But with us being so high in elevation and having a desert type of where we're at in the mountains, on the snow, we'll get it in a day or two. It's completely gone, like it never happened. Rain is gone pretty quickly. It'll be humid for maybe 2-3 hours, and then it's gone. It's back to being dry. I'm from California. I did live in Arizona for a few years back in the late 2000s. And, I've never had to put more lotion on my body than being here. So my hands are never cracked as much either. So it's just Colorado living, you're in a thinner altitude. It's always nice going back to sea level or lower where you can breathe a lot easier.
Sure.
So it's nice being out here, but it's too damn cold sometimes. That's for sure. Now I used to, when I was in Arizona and California, all the snowbirds came out there, and I'm like, go back home. But now I understand why they go out there from October to, I think it's October, the end of tax season, in April they leave. Mm-hmm. So I understand why. I mean, but then right now I'm seeing Arizona license plates out here. I'm like, why aren't you in Arizona? Why are you here where it's snowing? Like, it's the opposite. So, and it's not. I don't
understand that either. Yeah. We're going to hit the 80s next week here.
Yeah. I mean, I just got, I think it was 12 inches 2 days ago. And it's still sitting here in my backyard. It's probably a good still 5-6 inches deep. My dog, she's 15 pounds, a little small rat terrier chihuahua mix. And she jumps in the snow and you can't find her. It's like the funniest thing. But then she's getting old where she does it, but then she's getting arthritis, so she gets stuck. And I have to go out there and get her and bring her back in and get her warmed up again.
To go find her.
I have to go find her. But it's hilarious. But yeah, it's been cold here, and we haven't had much of a snow season this year. I mean, we were in the 60s, 70s even in December, which is so weird.
Oh wow.
So the cold front hasn't been a lot this year. Yeah, usually we get that El Nino, or it gets those cold front, and we haven't gotten it this year. So I don't know if it's an off year or if it's, atmosphere changing, whatever it is. I'm not going to go into that stuff because who knows what it could be. But yeah, it's not a typical Colorado year. which I could paint. I've been able to paint a lot more this winter than I typically do.
Right.
So it's been nice.
What speaking of painting, what do you have planned for 2022 as far as projects are concerned?
So currently, as you know, we have the build off for the GT3.
Mhm.
You are light years ahead of me. I haven't even opened. I did my kit review and haven't opened the box yet because this is the weekend I'm actually going to start it. But I'm going to be painting that, doing a retro custom theme for the 90s. I want to go back to Tom Super GT, those decals, and do something different on the AMG, give it that throwback of 90s. I'm not sure if I'm going to do any like actual masking, doing my own painting for decals, as some of the newer cars have like that checker green red flow in the back. I'm not sure if I want to try that out on the AMG or not, or stick with the decals this time and keep it safe, because I do have 2 months before I come out and see all of you guys in Arizona in April. And I want to have this car, my last video, be it being displayed at the club meet when I go out and see you guys, and have that as my reveal. Be kind of
That'd be cool.
So
that'd be cool.
I got 2 months to do that. Hopefully I can get it done. It seems from you, the chassis is pretty easy. For me, it'll probably be the body, because the body, I'm so anal retentive on the finish and the paint and making sure everything looks nice. Because I mean, for me, I definitely build for myself, but also build for, if I want to take it to a contest, it's definitely contest worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm so anal retentive on the paint of the body, because that's 80% of the judges look at as the body before they go to anything else. Yeah. So, and I'm not sure if I want to go with I don't want to go with a gloss finish. I want to probably go with a semi-gloss, give that true actual, GT3 kind of feel to it.
I did my Leon car in that semi-gloss, and you know what? I know that it's true, and I know that that's the way it's supposed to look, but I don't like it. I really don't like the semi-gloss.
Is it too much of a matte?
Yeah,
like a matte look?
It just doesn't look. It doesn't look done to me.
Okay.
It looks like forgive me, a junior modeler or something. Somebody that doesn't know how to shoot glossy paint.
That's good to know, because I've never done a semi-gloss or a matte coat on a body ever and called it done. I definitely could see it for like, if you want a black matte car for a hot rod, that's fine. But that's good to know. I definitely will not look at doing semi-gloss for this.
So are you able to pick up your camera and show your stash to the world?
So I do have some. I'm gonna see if I can show you. I do have some of my.
Oh, cool.
My flats over here. I have some more flats in the back as well.
I like the flat boxes.
Yeah. And then I have just some of the stuff that I use, all my bits and pieces for stuff I haven't used before. It's all in here.
That's organized.
I have, a little organized. My build and rebuilders, some kits in here, a whole bunch of kits down there that I have, all my Camaros and stuff, and Chevelles. I have some more, my dehydrator for all my enamel paints that I cut with lacquer thinner, go in there about 24 hours. It's fully dried and solid.
Nice.
I also have this kit, which is like, I haven't found this anywhere else. It's 1970 Corvette. It's a 120 scale MPC. The box is destroyed, but it's a 3-in-1, which is pretty cool.
That is
so
cool.
I'll probably do a kit review on that.
Yeah, that's neat.
And then up here at the top, I just have a whole bunch of my just bodies and stuff for slot cars. If I want to build a slot car one day, have a quick build, just a body like my 67 Camaro S that's on my channel. Do those, and then I'll sell it, because I'll never race slot cars again, unfortunately. 3D stuff in here, resin stuff in here, just some open boxes. And then I have my models with a whole bunch of open cases in the back.
Gotcha.
Have my RC sprint car I used to race back in the day. And then unfortunately here is my desk right now, which is not where I want it to be, but it's still somewhat, representable for most people. Have all of my get down posters from every year that Dino has. He does it in Arizona once a year. It's a whole Chevy C10 thing over at Westgate in Glendale. So I typically see that, and that's what shirt I'm wearing is, but he has all these posters from each year, which is pretty cool. All of my scale finishes paints, because Jamestown is only a state away, so it's super easy to get everything from him.
Gotcha.
So I do all of that. So that's what Chucky uses. So that's awesome. All of my primers, if I choose to use any spray cans or Stynylrez stuff as well. And then over here, I have more of my flat boxes that I have for stuff. Whole bunch of Pegasus wheels in here, and aftermarket stuff and tires and everything that I have.
Cool.
And then coming in here, it's just honestly, let me get this out of the way. It's just lined up with kits from top to bottom.
Yeah, that looks like my closet, man.
Yeah, and it's not a closet; it's actually a storage thing for a cabinet for a garage. But yeah, I have just tons of kits. And these are all actual truck kits with some resin stuff in here. I just put in here. Blue printers, some small NASCAR. I'm getting really into the salt flat stuff, so I want to build some of those. This whole entire thing is Novas and Willys in here, besides this one front end dragster. Yeah, this actually, what's funny is down here is all of my 32, all my Fords, and I probably have 5 of these 30s, and I think 6 of the 29 Fords.
I don't have many of them.
So I just, and my Willys, like I've never have too many Willys back there and Novas and stuff. But like I said, like, you know, with Matt and everyone, each one of these is an idea that I have or something. So
right.
For me, that's, you know, you'll see people all say, you know, well, I only grab one, I only build one. Well, for me, you know, for your stash, you know, you had 2 Mercedes GT3s. You know, you have 2 of some, because even they come with the same decals, you can get different liveries and make it a different one.
Right.
We'll see a lot of guys in our group doing that with this kit and the build off. So for me, it's, you know, I have, 7, 8 of the Willys kits, the different version of Monogram Revell.
Right.
But each one I have a different paint color, whole different kit, you know. I have 8 paint colors, 8 different kits. So
right. It's interesting to see what you buy. You know, what everybody buys. You know, mine's mostly race cars. On the one side of the closet, it's race cars and sports cars, and then the other side is Mopars, you know, in big scale. So that's what my thing is. You know,
so I have one big scale, which is the Green Elephant funny car that came out from Atlantis last year.
Okay.
I used to have 5 or 6 big scales, but they were taking up space, and for those ones,
they take up so much space.
for those kits, like I'm only, I think I'm 6, 7 years into building, and I just got out of box stock maybe a year and a half ago. So I'm learning all this detailing stuff at 1/25 and 1/24 scale, how to actually get the correct, you know, the correct diameter of wires, you know, and that kind of thing, and make sure it looks accurate to scale for me.
Right.
And I'm still learning that for a lot of the things. Once I get comfortable with that, then it's a learning curve of, okay, I would never build a box stock, you know, 1/16 scale funny car. I want to go full out, you know, engine wiring. Yeah. And that's going to be a learning curve of, okay, what size wiring do I need? Luckily with some of these brands like Detail Master and Product, they tell you in the back what size of wire you need for the kit. But then some things they don't make, you don't know, and you got to figure it out. So that's something I look forward to doing, but also don't look forward to it at the same time.
Yeah. So as far as model building, what is your one tip that you would share to a beginning builder?
You will never have enough options for glue. You will use, like, I use Tamiya extra thin, the quick setting extra thin, the orange bottle. I have 4 different CA glues that I use that are, you know, the blue and pink caps.
Right.
Instaset, micro crystal clear as a glue, Elmer's glue, diamond glaze as a glue, evergreen, Mod Podge, you know, you name it. I mean, you know, the plastic weld from Flexify you can buy at Hobby Lobby, the Plastruct, all those types of glues, because it's to where it's going to be depending on how you're going to be gluing it. And a lot of times, you know, I see a lot of guys that glue their whole entire chassis before they paint it. I don't do that. I still paint each individual piece and then glue it afterwards. So, you know, even epoxies too, 5-in epoxies and those kind of things. So for me, I only had Tamiya extra thin when I started out, and then the thick Tamiya. And I realized after I painted stuff that the Tamiya was melting the paint in order to get that actual connection. You could see that in some of the items like the suspension, and I didn't like that. Well, what wouldn't cause the paint, you know, to crumble and crack? And then I found, you know, CA glues, not super glues, but CA glues.
Yeah.
And then for
I don't use CA glues much at all. only, maybe a photo etch piece or something, but I'm afraid of it because I've had it mess up too many things.
So I use CA glue more on the painted parts when I'm done with them, because if I were for some reason to drop my kit, or when it travels to Arizona with me in the box, if something were to break off, the CA glue, because it's like a type of, it's not, people say it's a super glue, but it's not a type of super glue. It's like in the same family of it. When it breaks, it's a clean break where the 2 points actually attach. So it's easy to glue it back on. You're not actually having a full piece that broke and peeled paint and that kind of a thing.
Right.
Especially like the mirrors and stuff on the cars. So for me, a lot of times I do use the CA glue for that, because if I were to drop the engine and it shatters, it's going to shatter into all of its actual pieces. You put it back together, and instead of it shattering and actually having a piece that actually broke in half that was not supposed to be like that.
Yeah. I have a Mercedes AMG, the black one up there. The mirror was so well glued in that it broke off the mirror and left the stub in the door.
Wow.
It literally broke the mirror off.
Wow. But yeah, that's what I mean, that's the biggest thing is the glues. I never would have thought I would have so many glues. And it's so, people that just go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and buy it and stuff, that's they want to do it for fun. That's awesome. A lot of people do that, and I do it for fun as well. But then for me, the first few years, I was just going to Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and buying and building. I had no idea of the contests, of the Facebook pages, of how this hobby actually, it's I never knew there's so many actual hobby shops that are built around this hobby, like Andy's in Arizona, which that's like a bucket list for me, is actually go meet Andy and buy. My dad bought something from there last time, and I got it here, but go to actually meet him and stuff. And
yeah,
and now that he has the build now the build tables up and running, hopefully soon that'll be fun to go and build there. So it's definitely going to be fun. But yeah, you just go into a Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and that's all you know. And then you go on Facebook and you find out how there's build offs, there's contests, there's Facebook group builds like the GT3,
right.
And a lot of guys you never thought you would use like a necklace wire and stuff from Hobby Lobby for your fuel lines and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I would never have thought of that. It's the weirdest things. Or one of the guys, he showed me the styrofoam little cylinders or whatnot that you can put the fake flowers in. Mm-hmm. Use that for your popsicle sticks and your painting alligators and stuff, and you can paint as you go. Those are cool,
It's a good idea.
And a lot of the times people will sell it a nice one, but sometimes you just got to get it's not always buying the nice hoity-toity things. It's getting just the basics, and it makes you a great modeler in the end.
Yeah. So my tip to beginner modelers is pre-assemble everything. So this is the Hudson Hornet.
Yeah.
And I built the whole kit using white glue.
I still have never done that.
And the reason I do it is you learn how to build the kit, because you can look at the instructions all you want, but until you actually put things together and you say, oh, that's a tight fit right there, I'm going to open that hole a little more, so that you're not messing with painted parts later on. So yeah, that's my tip. Pre-assemble a whole kit in white glue, and how everything fits.
So never mind how many days it probably took you, a few hours here and there to do it, but how long did it take you hour-wise to build that the way it looks?
35 minutes.
That's it.
I literally just clipped the parts off the trees and glue it together.
So no sanding, nothing like that. You're just getting in there and actually work.
I'll prep the parts for paint when I take it back apart. And another thing is you can figure out what sub-assemblies you won't ever see, like with the chassis and stuff.
Okay.
You kind of see what you can see, but other things you're like, yeah, I don't even need to prep that, that mold line or, that sink mark, it'll never be seen. I don't need to take care of it.
It looks like a promo, not gonna lie, the way it looks.
Yeah, it's a great kit. And I put it together with white glue and I thought about building it, but I don't know that my viewers would watch that. Hudson Hornet's not an exciting car.
Well, you did do the white glue on, was it a Thunderbird? The Thunderbird recently. Right. And actually, it's the first time I knew that people were actually doing it that way. And that was pretty cool. I've I've tried it on a few parts, and maybe I'm doing it incorrectly because I've tried it with both evergreen canopy glue and then just the normal school glue.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I guess they're just not, the parts for me aren't sticking, and it seems like they're too brittle to be put together with the glues. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong to
The
get to where yours
canopy,
looks like the way it is.
the canopy is like white super glue. It's super sticky, and you actually have to fight it apart,
Okay.
but it's a clean break. It doesn't, melt any plastic or anything. The Elmer's is a lot easier to take apart later on, but you have to give it time to dry.
Because with the Elmers, you can pretty much just stick your whole entire built model with Elmers in a bath and let it sit there, and they'll start to crumble apart because it'll be water soluble. So it doesn't
Right.
work for you then at that point. So
My other tip is to buy a quality set of nippers. I just recently bought a set of nippers, and they were like $30 on Amazon, and I was like, $30 for a pair of nippers, but I love them. I love those things.
What brand are they?
Oh,
Is it Tamiya?
I'll have to put it in the notes below, but I can't remember. But I've been using Xuron, the cheap kind for 20 years, and thought that those were the ones. But now that I've got a good set, I'll never.
So I started off with these ones at Hobby Lobby, these cheap plastic ones. They did all right. They're more like I don't know how to say it. It's like using an axe to the model instead.
That's what I used for 20 years, man.
Yeah. And then after that, I started using just my hobby knife, number 11, and doing it with my fingers. My thumb has never bled so much in my life, so obviously that was not working out. Then I went to Tamiya and got these ones, which are great. These are the model has a number 123 in it. It makes a good cut, but not as nice as I want it to. And I've had them for about 3 years now, and they definitely aren't showing their life. And then I used to use my number 11 for all the photo etch, and I actually bought a photo etch Xuron ones, and those are actually really cool.
Pair of those.
These are super sharp, and they will stab you. So I keep the little plastic that comes in it, which is like a catheter tube. I keep that on it just because it actually, keeps me safe. I'm not touching it.
Right.
But a lot of guys that I talk to do Gundam, and they always talk about, was it Hands of God, I think it is,
God Hand, right?
God Hand, and those are like $60-$70. And then I found this company, and they're doing a lot of stuff in the modeling community. They have like this square thing that has like a circle and actually cuts out circle templates for you with the paper. And they're called Display, and I actually have their cutters. And I've never cut anything where I never had to sand anything away. Like, it cuts it nice and clean. It's like there was no sprue attached to it or no connector at all. Like, it's ridiculous. And it comes in this little leather case, and it comes in a nice box. It's like an Apple box. I kid you not. You open it up, it's like Apple type of packaging. It's ridiculous. This was $45 on eBay with free shipping from California. And I mean, my Tamiya ones, they're just going to sit there, unfortunately, because I'll always use these.
Yes.
The Tamiya ones will probably turn into the ones that I cut the sprue up when I'm done with it, and put it in for like the sprue goo or something like that. Use it for something else. But yeah, this Display or Display, however people want to call it, when it comes in the packaging, it comes with leather little pouch for the nippers. Like, it's real at that point to start cutting stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I couldn't believe how much better the quality set of nippers works.
It's nice not have to.
I should have done it years ago.
Yeah, it's nice not have to do any real sanding or the actual the sprue attached to the part that's gone, which is that shaves off a good amount of time on prep. And for me, the biggest part on building is I actually enjoy the prep. I enjoy the body prep and stuff, but the painting is always what makes me cringe, because you do all this work and you put your base coat on and something happens. All that work kind of went to shame, especially if you puttied a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because putting the purple pond or an alcohol, whatever you have to do to get that paint off, most likely going to take all that putty away too. And that was probably hours and days of sitting watching the putty dry and sand and prime and dry and sand and prime and putty. And so I always cringe when I put that first base coat on. I'm like, please, please don't make it a wasteful 2 weeks. And then, but then you get past that and put your decals on. You're like, this is the only set of Castrol Supra GT decals I have. Let's hope the clear doesn't cause a problem with them.
Right.
So I honestly, I have 5 or 6 kits that are at that point to start being painted. And they're just sitting because I cringe of the thought of all that time and effort. And it goes to, just goes away in a matter of seconds with the paint having an issue with the primer or something. So
I totally get it. I totally get it.
And that's where I buy a lot of rattle cans, and I will rattle cans sometimes still, but a lot of times I buy the rattle cans because especially the Tamiya ones, because some of the Tamiya colors and rattle cans you can't get in the lacquer or you can't get in the acrylic paints.
Right.
And with those, I'll decant them as needed and thin it with Mr. Hobby leveling thinner and be fine. 1 can of like just the normal TS14 and stuff, decanting this for a few models for all the chassis and stuff, that's about 5 or 6 kits. If I were using
milliliters is one of those cans.
100 milliliters net volume.
100. Huh. Because
so
when I do like acrylics, I usually pour 5 milliliters of acrylic paint, and then I match that with the Mr. Hobby leveling thinner. So I'm shooting 10 milliliters of paint, but it's really only 5 milliliters of paint. So yeah, I guess it's cost effective to decant if you're getting 100 milliliters out of the jar.
Now I only do this if the color is only in the can. If it's in the acrylic or lacquer, I'll go that route because it's a whole lot cheaper for me, at least I feel. And you don't have to decant and waste that time letting it sit out, the paint sit out and in the vapors for a day. Yeah.
Right.
But for me, just doing like a body and all the actual parts of the body, not the chassis for a can of these, I can get 3 or 4 cars with a single one of these, which I think the small acrylic ones, I think is what, about two cars maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, but the cans are getting pricier, and the Tamiya bottles are staying cheap. So if I can find a way to get like TS54 and mix 2 colors of the Tamiya acrylics to match that, then I'd rather do that than have to decant, because I mean, it's fun, but I do have a lot of the Model Master paints in the cans, because I mean, these cans rock for me, these Model Master ones.
Really? I used to do rattle cans, and once I started airbrushing, I just can't go back to them. The droplets are too big for me. I can't stand them. Some guys can do it. Some guys can, pull off a perfect paint job with a rattle can, but I can't. I just can't.
So the 67 Camaro SS I have, that was rattle canned. Well, actually, no, that was airbrush. I forgot. Airbrush decanted rattle can paint for that one. Let's see, the bodies video has just a whole bunch of painted bodies. There is the green Camaro, the Pro Mod that I built. That one, it was strictly rattle can. That was rattle can, primer, clear, and paint, and that was all tester stuff. The clear I do use, if it's not going to be an actual airbrush ready clear, like from Scale Finishers, MCW, or Tamiya or whatnot, I use Mr. Hobby's Ultra Super Mr. Hobby Super Clear UV. I love that. I feel that's the best. I haven't tried it yet.
Do you decant that?
No, I know. I rattle can it. That gives me every time. I don't know if it's just I've figured out how to make it work, but no orange peel whatsoever. A light coat, a tack coat, then a medium, and then a medium wet, and that's it. About 5 to 10 minutes in between each coat, so 30 minutes total, and I'm done with the clear. But that's what I used. That's what I used as a clear on that 67 Camaro SS in orange I have on my YouTube channel. That was that stuff, and that was rattle can, which is awesome.
I think I would have to relearn how to polish if I went back to lacquer clear, because I'm pretty rough with the polishing with the 2K, because you can be. So I think I would have to relearn how to polish lacquer.
And that's the only lacquer that I use as a clear. All my other clears are enamel based. So from scale finishes, I'll get their base coats or their enamel coats, but the clear is always going to be enamel. What do I use? I still use a lot of Model Master clears in the top coat clears that are right here.
The not so clear.
Not so clear. It's not so clear anymore. Definitely don't put on white bodies. Anything other bodies are good with, but I'll do that. And I'll cut that thin 50-50 with cheap lacquer thinner, like a 1-to-1, even sometimes a 2-to-1. And with the one thing that I understand, enamels take forever to dry for a lot of people, especially in like the Model Master rattle cans and stuff. I never would get enamel. I always get the lacquered ones.
Right.
But for a clear, I do enamel because I cut it 50-50. When I'm done painting with it, I put it into the dehydrator 24 hours at most at 105 degrees, which is a typical thing for doing beef jerky anyways. It's done as hard as a rock. I would say it's almost as good as 2K. But the biggest thing is when you have blemishes or scratches or anything coming from the primer or the body and showing it in the base coat, if you especially if you use a lacquer base coat, that enamel, it actually covers it and fills it in and makes it smooth. We don't see it anymore. Where lacquers still show that divot and stuff, it doesn't actually fill it. Enamels fill it. So giving the enamel paint being a filler and like a self-healer kind of a thing, taking all of your small issues away, your fine scratches and whatnot, and then cutting with lacquer thinner and giving it the properties of drying as a lacquer, which is a lot better and it's a lot easier. I mean, that's my go-to in a lot of clears is that enamel. It's like a win-win at that point. And I started about 2,400 or 3,200 grit for sanding, wet sanding up to 12,000. And then I have a 5-step polishing system that I use that works for me. I probably could make it down to a 2 or 3-step, but the 5-step always comes out. So why change if it works for me?
Isn't it funny, like watching Oleg or something on Scale Auto Garage?
Yep.
He'll buff it down with 2,400 grit and then immediately go to waxes and polishes. I'm like, how do you do that?
But that's the funny thing is my grandfather and my uncle, they're in the automotive industry. They do hot rods and stuff, and they do their own painting, body work. And it's funny is you'll like you look at this grit, it's 80 grit sandpaper, and they use it on cars because it starts to get all the stuff, all the putty. And for us as modelers, that would be like hell because you'd never go scratches out. It would take forever on this plastic.
Yeah.
But for a car, they go down a little lower. I think my uncle goes up to 4,000 and that's it on the body before putting the clear on and even wet sanding and all that stuff. Right. And us, we're going to 12 to try to get that 12 to look just as good as that 4,000,
Yeah.
So it's funny how we have to go to a lot more extraneous parts of the system where it's a lot easier for guys in the automotive industry to do a lot quicker. Not quicker, right, but easier, not have to go through many steps.
But the millage of their paint is so much thicker.
Oh yeah. And it's polyurethane now, I think is a lot of people go to out there. But automotive paint. I mean, it's definitely fun to watch them do it. But seeing how thick that paint is, even when they thin it, I'm like, it'd take a lot more thinner for me to get on this car. So I'm happy we have guys like MCW and Scale Finishes that do automotive colors, and it actually is automotive paint to an extent,
right?
But it's more friendlier for our plastic and what we do, and it's pretty thin, which is awesome. Don't have to worry about making that thick viscous paint into as thin as it needs to be. They do it for us, which is awesome.
Will the Scale Finishes base coat paint attack plastic?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it done yet, but I don't. I have yet to actually paint it directly on plastic. I primer all of my parts, no matter what, to give it some sort of tooth to bite into. Even with my primer, I sand it up to about 6,000 or 3,000 most of the time. But
if you got a thin spot, say if you got a thin spot while you were sanding out your primer, could, like, for instance, I've got like just a second. This Viper was done with gravity, and I have no problem bashing gravity because I've heard this before, but I don't know if you can see in that door.
Oh yeah,
it attacked the plastic.
Yeah,
and it's got a primer. I think I used a primer on it, maybe 2 coats, and still that base coat attacked the plastic.
Now, is that Gravity Colors USA or Gravity Colors Spain? I've heard bad about the USA, but Spain, everyone talks
I
great
think
about.
it's probably US. I built that a long time ago, but yeah, it just pissed me off because, you know, when it hit clear, you know, I didn't see it until I hit the clear, and then the clear hit it, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I bought from USA, never actually unfortunately had a chance to use it because it took them 4 months to give me 3 bottles of paint. It was ridiculous. And then, you know, to make it for my hardship of waiting, because I need those specific colors for a build, and I had like 2 months to build the car, and it took 4 months to get here. So it was ridiculous for a contest. I went somewhere else and bought paint, and he refunded me he was going to refund me the money and said, well, I'll just give you more product. What do you want? And I said, okay, well, I just need these 2 other colors. I have yet to see those colors come to me. So and I don't want to go to Spain because Spain is it's the same. It's whatever you buy, it's exactly the same amount to ship it, which is, I feel ridiculous. You know, you pay, I mean, $60 for, you know, a thing of 2K and maybe 3 paints, and you're paying 25. I think it's 17 to $35 to ship it, especially with nowadays with the carriers and stuff. It's ridiculous. So, like I said, I like to help the local guy out if I can, but no, I've used this stuff over primer and has never had a problem. I've actually even had issues where I sanded through a spot, and I actually taped it off and reprimered over that little small spot and made it to where it matched up with what was available. Right. Yeah, the primer, and then blended the paint back over it. I have to have a problem with it, but I mean, Chucky, he swears by this stuff, and I do too. Like I said, I have. It's nice to find someone that has the same color in both enamel and base coat lacquers. Whatever you like as far as a base, you have the options there. I know MCW are starting to do enamels, which is nice. They don't have as many as the lacquer base, but for Jameson, I mean, if he doesn't have it, I email him and say, hey, you know, like I have a 2005 Subaru WRX STI. It's Alpine white. He doesn't have that color. I said, hey, Jameson, you know, I have the kit from Fujimi with all the detail stuff. I want to build in the future. Can you do you have the option to get this paint? Within a week, he mailed it to me. You know, he's like, here you go. He's like, test it out. Let me see how you like it. I said, awesome.
Very cool.
So it's cool, you know, and it's like the colors that he doesn't have. You ask him for it. If he can find it, he will. The Castrol decals for the Supra, he has the green that will match the decals, doesn't have the red paint. So I actually took a decal I know I wouldn't use that was red from the decal sheet and mailed it to him. He's going to match it based on the exact decal, color match it, and then I'll buy the paint from him, and I'll have red for the Castrol. I'm not sure if I want to do the red for the interior or red for the tires and do something different, or green for the tires. But the body's going to still be the white. It's going to be just a nice white. So
maybe do the wing or something in one of the contrasting colors.
I think I might do that, like the actual main part of the wing green and the sides red or something, kind of give it some contrast to it. The tires are definitely going to be a green or a red. I'm not sure. Got to have the tires, you know, stand out. Can't just be black or white. Like the Supra GT, the white ones look good because they're the Nismo ones, but for this kit, man, it's gotta have something different to it. You know, something you don't see.
I gotcha. Well, do you have anything that you want to please plug your channel? I think we're a little over an hour now, so nobody's going to watch.
No.
For all those viewers that are still here.
My name is Brandon White. I run the Mile High Scale Modeler channel. You can find me via the Mile High Scale Modeler channel on YouTube. I have many videos that I'll be putting up here in the future. It'll be awesome. Kit reviews, how-tos, build videos, whatever your preferences. Hopefully I'll have it for you now or in the future. I don't have a Facebook page or anything like Lucas C or here with Strictly Box Talk like James, but I do have an actual Facebook, you know,
personal
account. Yeah. Facebook account, Mile High Scale Modeler. You can friend request me and you can see all my stuff there. I produce all my content and links, and whenever I drop it on YouTube, I drop it there so people can see it. Just for me, it's all about just showing what I do in the hobby and just having some more content for someone to watch on a rainy day. You know, it's the biggest thing when you're inside and it's snowing and you can't do anything, especially with the East Coast right now.
Right.
You know, YouTube is where you watch stuff and you build along with it. So, you know, if my content helps keep you building, then awesome.
Yeah. Very cool. Brandon, thank you. Thank you
Thank you,
for,
James.
yeah, this was a good time.
It was. I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I'll cut